Viewers that the month-long walk-to-work protest in Uganda, the investments dropped by 48% according to the latest report out of the Uganda Investment Authority. So how we handle elections as African countries are watched very keenly by investors.
Yeah, thank you, Larry. Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, because as you know, elections bring in uncertainty, and a lot of many investors are always looking up to political risk mitigation tools like what ATI provides.
Yes.
As you know, recently, what has happened in Egypt, or what happened in Tunisia, and currently happening in Tripoli.
Yes.
Before this, I think 6 months ago or more, nobody ever thought that those countries would go into this kind of turmoil, and investors would rather have invested in those countries than invest in Kenya, for instance, or in Uganda. But now the risk profile has changed completely, and we find where we used to think quite safe is not safe anymore. And this brings us to this topic, that political risk is a reality, and is a perception as well sometimes, but I think it needs to be mitigated.
Maybe where I should have started from is the background in Africa Trade Insurance, who you are and what you do. Yeah,
African Trade Insurance, in short ATI, not ATIA.
Yes.
We call it ATI.
A common mistake.
Yeah, ATI was formed in 2001 by the African member states. Mainly, initially it was COMESA member states, but I think normally it was formed to be able to ensure investments, because there was a perception that investment in Africa was very unsafe. And obviously that was one of the mandate, and also to promote intra-African trade, because what was happening before is that exporters would export to countries, and maybe some buyers will not pay them when they're supposed to be paid. So the main mandate for ATI was to promote trade and investment in Africa, and to remove the perception that Africa is unsafe for investment. And as you know, foreign direct investment creates jobs, and it opens up the country to the economy.
You've been around for 10 years now.
Yeah.
How has the risk profile and generally investing in Africa changed in that decade?
Well, I must say that the perception is still that the risks are high, but as you know, over the last 10 years, a lot has happened in Africa in terms of governance.
Yes.
There's been an improvement in governance.
We have more democracies now.
More democracies, but of course you have still flashpoints. Where you expect things to, like I've just mentioned, the North African countries, where obviously then you could say maybe democracy was not really democratic. They were not very democratic. Maybe that's why what happened. But the other triggers, anyway, apart from democracy has to be practiced and be seen to be a democracy.
Right.
Yeah, and also, if you remember, what happened in North Africa was triggered by unemployment, youth unemployment. So these are new dimensions in political risk, because previously political risks were emanated from maybe stolen elections or election issues. But
yes.
I think the trend now is that you must be able to provide employment for the youth. And with what's happening at the moment with social media and what have you, everybody is aware that if the country is not doing well, the youth are always able to get information. And I think governments now, apart from governance, they should also create jobs. And I think that's why ATI is here to ensure investors and create more jobs for the youth.
So you may have already mentioned this, but I just want to specifically how risk profiles changed in Africa and where are we heading?
Risk profile in Africa has changed, as I said, is changing, for the better in some countries. And even what has happened in North Africa now, I think is opening up those countries for democracy, even the Middle East.
Right.
Yeah, and I believe, we'll find that now, the risk profiles we'll be looking at will be quite different from what was previously seen as, safe. The safe areas are not safe anymore. The areas which were unsafe are now becoming safer.
Right.
Yeah, but you see, at the end of the day, institutions like ours will always mitigate those risks. So of course, you know, in business, to apart from our developmental mandate, we still need to be able to to make profits and, you know, and provide the cover.
All right, political violence is one of the things investors worry about, and we have an election coming up next year. And based on our little misadventure in 2007, I'm sure many people are looking at us and wondering what will happen next year. And as African Trade Insurance Agency, you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, next year is an election year, and of course, as you know, investors always get worried when it gets to election period, 2 years to election, 1 year to election.
Yes.
Of course, Kenya's case is a special one. Of course, you know, what we went through in 2007. Lucky enough, you know, the process is, you know, in place to try and make sure 2012 will be better than 2007 elections. Of course, the ICC process is going on, so we hope that that will be amicably resolved to be able to make sure that 2012 will be a better election year than 2007. So that is, of course, for us, we are there to provide cover. Of course, there were so many companies took ATI cover for political violence after 2007, because, as you know, the loss was amounting to almost 2 billion, which was not paid by the normal insurance companies, because they exclude political risks from their cover.
Yes.
So most companies paid on either a gratia basis or they did not pay at all. So after that, you know, we provided this cover, and most of them have taken the cover, you know, just in case 2012 does not ends up as 2007. But again, you know, we were quite sure that with things being put in place, then you know, 2012 should be much better.
How is your political risk cover underwritten? Because this may be, depending on how bad it is, it may be very debilitating, and you may have almost threatened bankruptcy. How is it underwritten?
Yeah, I think one thing is important. Political risk is that you know, we do assessment. I mean, we have economists who look at you know, country risk profiles, and we kind of charge premiums based on the country risk profile.
Yes.
Obviously, when it gets closer to the election, it becomes more expensive, because you know, the experience has been that whenever there's an election, you know, these political risks, losses through political violence comes through. So, but again, you know, we look at we also take a long-term view of the relationship, and we believe that, you know, of course, you might have a loss this year or next year, but again, you know, the next 5 years, you know, there'll be peace and we'll be quiet, and so we balance our books based on the long-term relationship, rather than, you know, if we were just to write, you know, political risk on a one-year basis. In any case, you know, as ATI, you know, we are rated, we are A-rated. We are one of the strongest institutions in Africa after ADB, you know, Standard & Poor rating of A. That gives us a very strong position in terms of, you know, writing political risk insurance. Obviously, we also leverage with other international insurers like the Lloyd's, and we're able to cover these risks based on you know, capacity from the Lloyd's market, the insurance capacity. But basically, you need to be very strong to write a political risk insurance. It's not like any general insurance.
As you may run out of business.
Yeah. Well, I believe so. We're trying.
All right. Typically, what sort of companies take this cover? Is it are they mostly multinational companies that invest in the countries you operate in, or do you even see some local companies also who just want to make sure they're covered?
Yeah, I think we have different products, you know, maybe, and I need to just give you an example.
Right.
For political violence, obviously we cover insurance companies because of insurance.
Yes.
Insurance companies are not covered for political risks, because when they give cover, their insurers exclude political risk from the cover they provide. So we come to augment, because we are formed to assist, because political risk covers like that. Normally, if you don't have a company to cover them, then you end up investors, you know, feel that the investment is unsafe. That's a political violence cover. We also provide, you know, cover for credit insurance. Credit insurance is to exporters who export to various countries, and you know, if they export, you know, the non-payment risk is there, because sometimes you find that, like in Egypt, for instance, if you're exporting your tea to Egypt, and what happened, you know, you find that the importer might be in a distress and is not able to pay you. So that's why we do cover credit insurance for exporters. We just recently had a conference with the EEPC, and
yes.
you know, we we're able to showcase our products to them. The other products we also provide, we cover for political risk insurance, which is PRI cover. This one is covers investors when they're coming into the country. They want to, particularly like independent power providers, IPPs, who are now in the energy sector. They would want to cover their investment. So we have cases like investors from Dubai who are currently trying to invest about 200 million in hotels in this country. We've been involved in risks like Lake Turkana wind power, where investors have invested here. We've insured them.
All right, so very quickly, we need to wrap this up in about 20 seconds. We're just opening up the region integration. We have 5 countries in the EAC, and a lot of businesses want to move there, but there's still the fear of risk. Maybe my suppliers or my buyers will not pay me, and then a different jurisdiction and stuff. What sort of remedies are there for that, very quickly? Yeah, but basically that's why we're here. We provide cover. I mean, obviously, if you have our cover, if you are trading in these countries or our member states, yes, you are covered. If for any reason you are the importer or the person who you're trading with is not able to pay you, we would come in because we understand the risks, and we have a lot of interest in this market. And obviously, apart from that, we have countries, I mean, sovereign risks, which we also underwrite. For instance, right now, there's a deal we are concluding with the Tanzanian government, an infrastructure deal of about $100 million, which a South African bank is providing the finances, and they also want us to cover non-payment of which is sovereign risk. So those are some of the products we definitely provide. All right, many thanks. We'll leave it there. Judge Otieno, CEO of the Africa Trade Insurance. Thanks for dropping by. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we need to bring you up to speed with what's happening, the latest in business. In Nyeri, the love of physics has inspired a young man to come up with innovative homemade devices, and this despite the fact that he did not manage to complete his secondary school education. Peterson Mwangi's latest gadget is able to start and switch off a car